Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Argentina Brief. A packed week. Let's get into it. Congress passed Milei's labor reform early Friday morning with 135 votes in favor and 115 against, just hours after the CGT staged a general strike. The Senate debates it this Friday, which means Milei could have this signed before his March 1st address. The most controversial clause, allowing employers to cut wages by 50% during medical leave, was stripped out. But the core survived: lower payroll contributions for new hires, a severance pre-funding mechanism, and flexible vacation splitting. The thing is, Argentina hasn't created net formal private sector jobs since Cristina imposed currency controls in 2011. So this reform is essentially the government's bet that a lighter tax burden and more predictable severance costs can start changing that. On the investment side, Milei extended by a year and expanded his flagship large-scale investment incentive regime, known locally as RIGI, which offers 30-year stability, tax breaks, and zero export duties for megaprojects. It now includes shale oil drilling. 10 projects worth over $25 billion are already approved. But SMEs want to know where their deal is, especially in agriculture, where export duties remain the main pain point. Meanwhile, industry is feeling the weight of the transition away from protectionism. Fate, the 84-year-old tire maker, announced it's shutting down, 920 jobs at stake. The government stepped in with mandatory conciliation, though Fate had been struggling since at least 2019. And the timing of all of this raised some eyebrows. Aluar, a Madanes group company like Fate, had been affected recently by a decision from Milei. The government scrapped an 80% anti-dumping tariff on Chinese aluminum. On the macro front, central bank reserves climbed to their highest since August 2021, over $46 billion, after Santa Fe province finally deposited $800 million from its December bond. That ended a weeks-long standoff with Caputo, and the peso's appreciation made the delay costly for the province. Wall Street, for its part, is loading up. Rob Citron went broad, back into YPF, Galicia, BBVA, Macro, and Adeco Agro. Druckenmiller was more selective, concentrating on YPF. And B of A's latest fund manager survey shows nearly 60% of institutional investors expect further gains in Argentine assets. In corporate news, YPF CEO Marin told Bloomberg News that capex can hold at $3.5 billion even if oil drops to 55, with a target of 200,000 barrels per day and the company's first dividend in a decade. Fitch, meanwhile, sees gas output hitting a record as pipeline bottlenecks finally ease. And finally, Milei has 3 U.S. dates before mid-March: Trump's Board of Peace, a Latin American summit in Miami, and Argentina Week in New York, which is already oversubscribed. That's your week. Follow us at Bloomberg Linea Argentina. See you next week, and thanks in advance for sharing this post to anyone who you think could find it useful.